All right, guys, back again, and today we're going to talk about the new Netflix movie, The Lovebirds, which was originally supposed to go to theaters, but for some reason, it didn't. But The Lovebirds is a story with Camille Nanjiani and Issa Rae, a couple that get involved in a guy who runs over another guy, and then they're involved with running away from the police and thinking that they're going to get in trouble because these two people come up and think that they killed this guy because of course the other guy ran away. And it's a romantic comedy, but it's a movie that is a mystery movie as well. It's one of those movies that there's a dime a dozen of these movies, and watching it, I don't know, it's weird watching this one. It was supposed to go to theaters, and I think it still feels like it would have been fine in a theater for what it is. But for what it is, it's not something that I typically go to. I never really go towards romantic comedies at all. Like whenever I'm watching a movie, that's not my preference. And watching this one, watching the trailers in the theaters whenever it was gonna go to theaters, I did think that the trailers did look funny. Like they did have the funny moments in the trailer, the funniest moments, and like looking at that, I thought it looked fine. Like I thought the movie looked totally serviceable watching the trailer in the theater. And then whenever it was announced Paramount was going to release it with Netflix onto Netflix, I was like, okay, cool. I don't have to watch this in the theater because I might not be super interested throughout. And at least when you're at home, you don't have to fully pay attention to something that you don't care about, like this one. And I wouldn't say that I didn't not care about this movie, but I didn't particularly like it a lot. I think that this is just a movie that by definition I'm not going to enjoy that much because it's not a genre that I really watch or like. But I'll say this. I think that Camille Nanjiani and Issa Rae, I think, do have good chemistry. I think that they do feel like a couple. And I think that they do have they're good actors. And Camille Nanjiani, of course, I've seen in other stuff. But Issa Rae, I think, is a newcomer. She was in this other movie. I think it was a romantic movie, too, called The Photograph, which I didn't see. But she's only been in, I guess, 2 movies according to her filmography. And I thought that she's a good up and comer. I thought that she did a good job in this movie. I thought that she, for the most part, with Camille Nanjiani, were really funny. They had good chemistry. I think that the movie, I think they, in terms of the writing, they didn't really have much to go with, if that makes sense. I feel like they just, I don't know, like they ad-libbed with this script that probably was like whatever, pretty generic script, because the movie is pretty generic. It's not anything special. So watching these two in this movie, I think that some jokes are funny and some jokes land, and then there's some jokes where it's like, okay, we know that there wasn't really a script, so they're going to keep going on, which isn't their fault. It's just a movie that I feel like by definition is not going to give actors that much of a of some, not much of something to give to an actor to make these performances super funny or super memorable because they're in a whatever script, in a whatever movie. So it's bad with that, but I still thought that the movie overall was fine. Like it was totally serviceable. It wasn't anything that I disliked, but I definitely didn't love it at all. I thought it was totally whatever. There are some funny moments. I think that again, they both really do have good chemistry and they both have some good jokes. I like the scene where they go to the restaurant and then like it's just a regular restaurant that doesn't serve liquor, and she's like, the waitress comes over and says, well, what do you want? And then Issa Rae says, I want liquor. Like, can I have 2 of them? And then Camille's like, yeah, 2 liquors. Like, it's jokes like that I think were kind of funny. And then the lady was like, we don't serve liquor. This is just a regular restaurant. Like, some of those jokes I think are funny, but it's one of those movies also where it's a mystery, and it's because they're trying to figure out like what's up with this guy, and like they had to run away from this situation, and who is this guy? And then they encounter wacky people, like in the trailer where you meet this country woman and her husband, and like she gives them an ultimatum. She ties them up and says, you're gonna tell us where he is or I'm gonna get bacon to the face, or a horse is gonna like kick you and knock you over. Like, it's got weird stuff like that. And then also they go into this weird the joke that Issa Rae even says in the movie, I was thinking that a handmaiden's tale bullshit kind of thing, because like they go into this big auditorium theater, and then like a sex act happens like on stage, and it's just a really odd, it's kind of like Eyes Wide Shut or something like that, where it's really weird just to have that. But I know it's there to make the movie kind of be like, oh, it's wacky, they're having weird situations, they're going through weird meeting weird characters in weird situations, and it just it never fully worked for me, because it was just such random characters that they meet who really don't like add up to the later in the movie. They're just there to make comedic moments, and I guess that's fine because it is a comedy, but it's not, it just doesn't make it super interesting to me or investing. Like I never, even though the performances are good, I was never like invested in this movie. I thought that some jokes were fine. This is honestly a movie that for me was just a background watch. Like I just put it on while I was at home, and I did think some jokes were funny. I thought that some jokes didn't land. I thought that, again, it's just a movie that's really on the edge of being just a typical movie like this, and it didn't have anything special. But again, the two actors are good. They're good. They're good in the roles, and I like them. But it's just a movie that, by definition, for me personally, is not going to be something that I really enjoyed. And people might enjoy this a lot, and I'm glad for them. But for me, I was just like, whatever. This is totally fine. There's a couple moments that were funny, but it's not one that I'll ever watch again. It's not super memorable. Honestly, if you're talking about Camille Nanjiani movies, watch The Big Sick, which came out a couple years ago, which is a really good movie, and it was a romantic comedy drama, and it was really well done and really effective, and I thought that it worked way more than this movie. And this movie, like I said, is totally average, it's totally fine, it's totally whatever. It's just not my cup of tea. So overall, this one not bad, but not great either. Just whatever. Hey guys, if you like this video, consider checking out my other content. I review a majority of films that are pretty recent, and also older films, and mostly horror as well. Horror is my favorite genre, so I expect a lot of horror. And check out all my links down below. I have a link to Patreon, I have a link to Instagram, link to Twitter, link to my Facebook group, Horror Enthusiast 101, and to my own personal Facebook page, CDR Movie Reviews. And thank you for anybody who watched this video. Thanks for watching.